Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Season 3 of the Rule 34 podcast. I'm your host, Jack, joined by my fellow co-hosts,
Dominic and Giovanni.
All right. So, we are back. How have you two been?
I have been pretty cool. I've finished the anime recommendation that Joseph has brought on for the podcast schedule. That's coming up pretty soon. I do have some pretty good notes about it, but that's for when it comes. Aside from that, the job I was applying for, that at the crypto arena by downtown, they finally accepted me 100%. So I just have to put in my availability hours and stuff like that. So I think we're Gucci on that part.
That's good.
That's great.
That's great.
It's great. It's great.
How about you?
Let's see. It's only been a few days, so I'm still stressed. But good news, I ordered a second monitor, and I'm very excited for that. I was looking at YouTube videos, and then I saw the screen of one of the editors I was watching, and he had After Effects open in his two monitors, and his workflow just looked so easy compared to what I'm doing right now. And I was like, oh, I just have to buy another monitor, so I did. So I'm excited for that. It's a little bit of happiness.
For those who don't know, Gio's been getting a lot into video editing, and if I do say so myself, he's been getting pretty good at it based on what he's shown us. Speaking of video editing, I don't want to put any pressure on us, any expectations on us, but boys, we may have to start adding visuals to this podcast. Because I don't know if you all have checked, but the last time I checked, because my dad messaged me in the morning. Dom, have you seen what the latest on the visuals I did, that short 6-minute video?
I'm not sure.
It was 300 views, I think.
323 views as of 11:20 on a Thursday, July 21st. In 8 days. And that was only a 6-minute video for the 6-minute portion of a 12-minute video I did. So, again, no pressure, but something we have to keep in mind, because my goodness, was I shocked that that's how many views that video has gotten so far. And honestly, I'm surprised it's still up, solely because of the fact that maybe it's because under the laws of fair use, or maybe that wrestling promotion isn't as strict on YouTube of removing content, like other promotions are. But that video is still up despite me using little bits and clips. I tried to use as little as possible so they couldn't say much, but I know copyright laws, especially on YouTube, are really kind of walking on eggshells.
And I think it's because you incorporated a huge part of it is your commentary on it. So I think it falls under the fair use.
Yeah, that's what I was looking into about fair use. I was because for me, when I do that, those video essay type things, and even here when I do it on the podcast, I obviously get inspiration from other people, in the sense of well, how do they do it? What's their mannerisms? What's their tone when speaking and stuff? So when I watch a lot of them, I see some of them will have that same thing where at the beginning of the video, you're oh, this is a commentary, or this is reaction content, so it's protected under the laws of fair use or something. But I don't know, it's always kind of tricky because of the way they are, where it's oh, sometimes you can, sometimes you can't even use a 5-second clip, so be interesting to see. But yeah, I saw that and that was pretty crazy to think, so maybe we'll start having to get stuff in the works for that. But another thing,
I think,
continue.
I think what made that video so successful, I guess you could say, is the length. Because people are more prone to watch a short video.
Yeah, very true.
Mm-hmm. But it's still great. 300 views is a huge milestone for this podcast, and it's incredible to see.
Another thing quickly, that I just want to ask real quick because I think I never got the chance to ask. Dom, you and I both recently gotten, or not recently anymore, it's been a couple weeks at this point, but you and I both at the same time basically got new pairs of headphones. I got the Skull Candy, I think they're called Hesh. You got which ones did you get?
The Crusher Evos.
All right. So I remember you told me you were gonna get it. This was around the time the Drake album dropped, so you were gonna try it out, and then I told you I've been using mine for a while. How have those been? Because I want to see the comparison between the two headphones we have.
Right. So the Crusher Evos, without them being on, because you could just plug them into like your PS5 controller into your computer or whatever, they work. Fine without them actually on, because there's like a button on the back. So the Crushers, without any special features, works completely fine. However, admittedly, after some time, the cups, the cups of the headphones begins to be a little bit uncomfortable. So it doesn't feel as good, which is, a big thing when, listening to music for a good time or for a long time. It starts to get a little bit uncomfortable. The music quality, absolutely perfect. I compare these to listening to my AirPod Pros, and the difference is different. It's completely different. I mean, considering that, the AirPod Pros are earphones and these are headphones, but considering it is an Apple product, the quality of live changes that the Crusher Evos also provides is pretty big. Also, considering they also have an application where you can change specific tones of the headphones and stuff. However, once you turn on the headphones and connect them either through Bluetooth or a 3.5 millimeter jack, and you amp up the bass on any song that has intense bass, the music is completely different. I tried to play some music where it's bass heavy. So for example, I played "A Devil in a New Dress" by Kanye.
Mm-hmm.
I first listened to it with the Crushers without bass, and it sounded nice. It sounded fine. It sounded like the flow was good. Everything was good. Flats were good. Mediums, highs, smooth. However, I decided to listen one more time. I amped up the bass to the max, and everything changed. And I know this sounds like an ad, but holy bro, the amount of bass that's just trebling inside of your head, you feel like your teeth are shaking a bit. You see your vision moving a bit because the amount of bass that's just being thrown inside your ears is pretty crazy. And I tried this with a bunch of other songs, but I can't stop bumping my head to the music every time the bass just rattles. I guess the only bad thing about it is that I guess since it is intense bass, I guess over time I will probably become deaf. But it's still good. It's still good. One cannot deny more bass is better. But yeah, that's been my use of it. I use it for gaming. Gaming is not 100% the best. It does have 3D audio, so that you could let's say playing Call of Duty or Battlefield, you would hear footsteps to your right, you would hear footsteps to the left, in front of you, and behind you, or on top of you or below. However, it works without the headphones being on. If you were to have the headphones on with the bass, and if let's say there's constant grenade spam from a player, or let's say you're playing GTA where people are constantly crashing into each other, that counts as the bass for the headphones to receive the feedback to throw into your ears. But it's just constant bass over and over again. And considering shooting games where you're constantly shooting, that also constitutes as for bass to be thrown into your headphones, and so that's it hurts your head. Yeah,
you're really gonna go deaf.
Yeah, it's really bad, especially if you have them all the way up. But if you turn down the bass slider, with the headphones being on, it's perfectly fine as well. Regarding the application of the Skull Candy headphones, I feel like it is pretty good because it gives you like a 3, 4, 5 minute like survey type thing. However, as long as you're connected to the earphones, you have the application on, you could adjust the tones of the frequencies as to how your ears sound. So everyone hears different, right? Like you hear different, I hear different. We all have a different experiences with our ears and stuff like that. So the headphones is like a small little test of like it's basically a listening test. Like how low, how high can your ears, your left and right, can you hear through frequencies? And it completely changed how the headphones, through like the default settings and then my personal updated settings. But yeah, it changed how I would hear normally, and it kind of did amp up the music a bit, which is probably even better than expected. And yeah, that's been the Evos, the Crusher Evos. It was definitely worth it in my opinion.
Yeah, that's
because
the two final things I want to ask you about it before we move on to today's topic. One, first off, the battery life. How satisfied are you with the battery life? Because I know mine, like I told you, I can charge it for like 5 minutes and it's good to go for like a very long time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure for this one, it's like 10 minutes and you get like 4 hours out of it. But in total, you get like 40 whole hours of just continuous battery life. I have not charged it in a good while. Last time I charged it was... when was the last time I charged it?
Honestly, mine
I charged it
right
once
now.
like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I charged mine like, I want to say like last week Monday, and it's only now just needing to be charged again.
Yeah, these things have survived for a good while.
And then the final question I wanted to ask you. First off, how much did you buy yours for?
So I'm pretty sure the original price is like 150, 160 on the Amazons, I think, if I'm not incorrect. Oh, let me check. 1 second. However, I believe I bought mine for cheap. Funny enough, my headphones, as I bought them, they were named to be used acceptable, because on Amazon you could buy either the new or you could buy used or old. And so I bought mine for around $60-$70.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So would you say you got the most value out of it?
I feel like because when I opened up my package for the headphones, it looked new. There was nothing used about it. There was no scratches, no dandruff of other people's hair on it. I didn't see any scratch marks on the leather. I didn't see the leather being used. I didn't see that the product was registered to anybody. The packaging looked all fine, but the price tag, and it said there was like scuff marks. There might have been some indentations within the cups of the headphone, but it was completely fine. So I don't know, someone else got ripped off, or maybe there was a mistake. But I got mine for cheap. But I feel like I should have paid full price for them.
All right. Well, the final thing to be said about that is no sponsor. That was not a sponsorship.
We're not sponsored.
I've always advocated for people to get Skull Candies because they're really good in quality, and for the most part, compared to other brands like Beats and Sony and stuff, they're really cheap. Because I know Sony has some really good ones, but they're like charging like $300, and like who's paying $300 for headphones?
Yeah, Skull Candy.
Pretty sure like the Apple Max is expensive.
Yeah, Skull Candy are like a good entry brand to get. Entry level.
All right, but so we've reached the 15-minute mark. I think it's about time we get into our main topic of today to make sure we have enough time. As last episode this Monday we ran out of time on the topic. I know my dad was a bit angry because he was like, you guys were still talking and yet you just left the episode off like that. But so we're gonna try and keep track of time better this episode. Dom, introduce us to today's topic because you are quite the expert, I would say.
So today we are speaking upon the debate between two rivalry legends in the automotive industry, specifically the Italian side of things. It's the battle between the Lambos, the Lamborghini, and the Ferraris. These two companies have been basically rivals for over like 70, 80 years now. I think we began with Lamborghinis first. Not even began with cars. They first began with tractors. I'm pretty sure like one of the first ever Lamborghinis was a tractor, obviously made for farmers, and not what we would think as the modern sports car as we know today. Ferrari would be mostly also they would have slightly less humble beginnings. First beginning out with like more detailed sports car for the upper class citizen per se who would love a bit more speed in their life, if you catch my drift. But yeah, that's how it all began within the automotive industry. For this presentation that I have created, we're going to be going in through for the first years as how the two companies have rivaled for each other. We are also going to see how some cars, as they were created, it would prompt the other company to try to out-rival it. And then, as such, competition always creates for the best market in terms of design, prices, and, overall favorability over one or the other. But, yeah.
Yeah, and, so Dom's compiled this presentation of images. We're going to kind of be comparing them, kind of, on our own accord, say, which one we think looks better. Obviously, Dom is a big car guy, so he'll be able to give you more of the details, while Gio and I are more so going to be, in a sense, ranking and choosing between the two on a, aesthetic basis. But so start us off, Dom, with the first car, or the first two cars.
Yeah, so every car on the left, we have Lamborghinis. Every car on the right are the Ferraris. So on our left, we have a nice, I forgot what the name of the color was, I'll be honest, I'm sorry about that. But it's a nice, marine blue. It's a 350 GT Lamborghini. This was in response to one of the Ferraris, the 500 Superfast, that we're also going to be covering. The blue Ferrari, the blue Lamborghini that we're seeing here, it was mostly meant to be a nice, laid-back vehicle. We also see that the introduction of the circular headlights that were exposed compared to the 500 Superfast, which actually had them concealed within the bonnet, as sort of like a James Bond type style with the Aston Martins. We see a 350 GT, basic model. Today, these vehicles go for around, I think it went for $500,000 to around $750,000 for right now, which is pretty expensive. We see on the right the 500 Superfast, also a vehicle that's meant to look like something close to the Alpine Renault, which is meant to be like a rally car, but the 500 Superfast is obviously in lines of the Ferrari schematics of how they design their vehicles. As we can see, the rear end is a bit more laid back. We see the spoked wheels on both of the vehicles. It was very popular back in the 60s as the default wheel, but also to have a resemblance to the sports cars that were before these cars' time. Spoked wheels was mostly the favorite in terms of reliability and longevity in terms of these wheels per se. We could also notice on both of these vehicles, there's the fat tires, because fat tires back in the day were really reliable, especially when car mechanics wasn't how you say it, as available to the common citizen. Only forgetting that these are Lamborghini and Ferraris, that they will be pretty expensive to fix up, because each company had proprietary tires per se. You couldn't just buy any tire off of any mechanic, or just put on those how do you call it, those those 50-mile-per-hour tires you see on sometimes, Jack or Gio. There's a replacement tire for the time being, but you can't go over the limit. So yeah. You can't just throw those. You can't just throw that onto there and expect it to work perfectly fine. It has to be proprietary from either Lambo or the Ferrari.
Interesting.
But yeah. The Superfast on its own, considering it is Ferrari, was some of the first vehicles back in the 60s. As of today, it goes for around 2.9 million.
Oh damn!
Compared to the 350 GT of around 500 to 700,000.
Wow.
Yeah. Regardless of the fact that Ferrari did exist a bit after, if I remember correctly, from Lambo, Ferrari's image and price have been definitely up through the roof. As you can see, the price, this is a way huge high spike against these two. But yeah,
it's mostly because
64.
I'd say it's mostly because, like, in the 60s, Ferrari was a huge, like, one of the best at Le Mans, and Le Mans is one of the most famous races in history. They had, like, the whole battle with Ford just made these cars a lot more legendary, you'd say. That's why they're worth more. And according to what Dom said, Lamborghini was just kind of starting off. So it's kind of like, who would they be? I guess, like...
Trying to think of, like, a good comparison, but nothing's really coming to my mind. Basically, Ferrari was the established name, while Lambo was the up-and-comer.
Yeah, basically.
Alright, if you had to choose between the two, which one are you choosing? If I'm going to be honest, aesthetically-wise, I think I enjoy the look of the Lambo more.
That's
Same with the
interesting.
Lambo.
I'd go for the Ferrari.
I don't know, something about the Lambo that looks more, like, refined in a sense.
Yeah. You got a point there. I'm thinking about it.
No, there's just like the shape of the what do you call it? The body just isn't pleasing to me. It kind of is like, it's hard to explain. Like, I don't know what it looks like, but it's just not pleasing to me. And the Ferrari just looks so much better.
I think my only complaint with the Lambo is the headlights sticking out like that. I don't know. It just I don't know. Maybe I've seen it a couple times, and like I think it's for me. It's like a car to car basis, because like some cars it looks good, but this one I don't know. It's not that it looks bad, but it looks a bit odd on this type of model of car.
Interesting.
What did you say you choose, Dom?
I would go for the Lambo. I like the headlights popping out a bit, because for some reason it reminds me of a Corvette Stingray, but. With the shape of it, you could sort of see like a resemblance of as to how they would see the car of the future. If you catch my drift, like the way it's styled, it looks smooth. While the Superfast, it just I don't know. The rear end looks like a muscle car more than a
I agree to that.
I guess a high end supercar at the time.
All right,
that's my opinion.
Our next model,
we have the 1966 400 GT Lamborghini and the Ferrari 330 GTC. So we see these two cars again, a bit of an updated model from the previous year. We see the Lamborghini with more a sporty, muscle-y car look. We could see how they were trying to come up with an image as to how they wanted the brand to look like. Again, the spoked rims, as that was still popular back in the 60s. However, we see the headlights very popped out this time. Now pretty much already up close to the front bumper and way far away from the bonnet or the hood. But in terms of its design, we could see now that where the cockpit's at and where the passenger at, it's more, I guess, rear end compared to, how would you say it, but less trunk space and more hood space for, more engine schematics and such. We also see here a Ferrari 330 GTC. Not too different. However, we could see that the vehicles do look somewhat alike. However, the front bonnet and then the front bumper with the Ferrari logo that's right there that's meant to intake air is meant to be more close to the how Ferrari likes to have air intakes into their vehicles. It's a bit of a clever tactic as how they want to brand their look of vehicle in terms of the front bumper. You can see that the headlights also still sporting the similar sort of Aston Martin front headlights. I think also at the time, Ferrari has yet to push the red. I forgot. I think it's called Scuderia Red or something like that, which is like the signature color of red. I don't believe it was pushed like to have that as their official color at the time. Same thing in Lamborghini, as we know, Lamborghini loves to have that yellow color. But as we see here, we see like a bit of an indigo blue on the 400 GT, and at the 330 GTC Ferrari, we could see like a nice gray, a pristine gray sort of ordeal. The prices on these vehicles, I've yet to find out a price specifically for the 330 GTC. However, for the 400 GT, I'm seeing prices of like $50,000 to $60,000 as of today. So I'm not sure why this specific model of vehicle has not been, I guess, amped up. But I'm assuming, I'm not sure how to say it, but like, I think it's been less favored among the car enthusiasts. However, for the 330 GTC, as we see on the right, that one goes up to around $700,000.
Interesting.
So from like, I think the minimum price like around like $400,000, I think it's been sold for, and some prices as of today have been going up to $700,000. So it's been pretty expensive. However, both of these cars, and personally, in my view, definitely look, I guess, as an equal rival.
I think for this one, I'm a flop a bit, and I think in terms of these models and the photos being shown, I think the Ferrari looks better in my opinion. I don't know if it's angles, but I don't know, the Lambo kind of looks a bit weird. I know like they both have like similar models, and like this probably isn't gonna make sense, but like the front of the Lambo just kind of looks weirder in a sense. Like, I don't know, it seems more like elongated despite both of them like having similar looks. It just has a more like elongated look to me, and maybe it might be the angle that this photo's taken at, but I don't know. The Ferrari looks more aesthetically pleasing to the eye.
For the Lambo, it kind of looks like the headlights are going inwards towards each other.
Yeah, I see that too. Yeah.
I'd pick the Ferrari too.
What are you picking, Dom?
I kind of wanted to go with the Lamborghini because we are going to see these sort of headlights poking out of the hood is going to play a pretty huge part into like the next decade models of Lambos. However, for the time being, I think I am going to go with the Ferrari. The Ferrari just the front bumper on its own just like gives like that branding symbolism that Ferrari is going to come in the future. But yeah, I'm going to go with Ferrari on this one.
All right, the next model, though.
We have the 1968 Islero. I apologize, as I do not know how to speak Italian or how to pronunciate perfectly. We have the Islero. We have the 365 GTB4. So, back in the good old days, as Ferrari was racing in Le Mans, while Lamborghini was still slightly behind, trying to come up with an image as to how they want to have their vehicle look like. We could see on the right with Ferrari, completely different look as to how their vehicle looks. We could see that it has a bit of a resemblance to a Datsun 200 SX, a Japanese vehicle. However, the vehicle on its own has now a bit of an elongated wheelbase, so it's a bit more length. There's a bit more length between the two sets of rims. However, we can now see that the lights are now integrated within the aerodynamics of the front bumper, if you catch my drift. Mm-hmm. So the lights are now hidden like beneath like a whole pane of like glass to like shield the headlights. However, it still keeps a nice look, but also a nice flow on the car, because these cars aside from the regular civilian vehicles per se, there was also the competizione or competition vehicles that were meant for tracks like Le Mans or Monza and such as that. We could see here also with the Islero, they tried to go in with a bit of a more sportier look, but as well with still keeping the tradition of the spoked rims. However, the vehicle itself, I apologize for this image that I'm showing. However, but this time it didn't have like popped out headlights or like headlights that would like spoke out from the hood. So it was more integrated within the vehicle as like with any other vehicle like Ford or Mercedes at the time. The Islero was pretty fast. However, it was obviously not as fast as with what the 365 GTB4 was at the time. The Islero on its own was basically meant for, I guess, again, the high-class individual. But the Ferrari 365 was basically for that even higher, I would guess, high-class individual. But yeah, that's been the 68s. Not too much crazy has been going on with the Lamborghinis. However, Ferrari was definitely pushing it with their competition models. There was also more models that were also released in 68 from Ferrari. However, for Lamborghini, this was the model that they came up with. Basically like a muscle car type of ordeal. However, they still try to increase horsepower through their cylinder blocks. My bad. But yeah. That's how it was. The price for an Islero for the time being right now goes up to around 200,000, 250,000.
Damn.
So yeah, the price for this one has increased a bit. Personally, I feel like, seeing it now, it is not as, I guess, favorable. In my opinion, I don't think the price is that justified for an Islero. The name was pretty nice. Personally, I like the Islero. It looks nice. And also, for those who don't know, Lamborghini names their cars after famous bulls. So that's how they ordeal their vehicles. However, looking back at the Ferrari, the price usually for the price around 600,000. So yeah, it's again Ferraris for some reason. People favor the Ferraris more in terms of their history and their past, and as well as the racing wins, Le Mans and as such. 600,000 for a Ferrari like this today, which personally, I think that's a lot. You could probably buy a modern Lamborghini with that, but it does look nice in my opinion.
Interesting. I think for this one, I'm gonna go with the Islero. Ferrari throughout this has kind of maintained this like a sleek, like rounder body, if that makes sense, Like
yes.
their cars are more rounded in a sense, and for this model, like Dom kind of said, they kind of took a different approach in like the body of the car, where it looks more I don't know what's the word to use, but you get what I'm saying by looking at the image, right, Dom? Like it has a more almost in a sense
like
defined,
tighter angles.
yeah. And I don't know, I like the look of that more than like the rounded car kind of look. This one kind of just looks more like according to like me, like I don't know, it just looks more in a sense better. I don't know, which one are you guys choosing?
I think I'm going to pick Ferrari again.
What are you choosing, Dom?
Yeah.
I would, as much as I want to go with the Islero, personally look at the Ferrari and like the resemblance of that in it of itself, but also with like the incorporation of like the headlights, because the headlights, I'm not sure if you could see from the image, it's slanted so as to like allow like air to properly flow through the car and stuff like that. But also the rims, I'm not sure you guys seen the rims of the Ferrari. These rims itself would be like legendary, like a 5-spoke, like these 5-spoke rims is like legendary among I guess the Ferraris that would come in the future per se. But yeah, personally I would go with Le Ferrari.
All right, and like Dom said, he started talking about the future. We're gonna kind of jump ahead pretty much a ton of years, because we got a ton of models to look through, but we want to kind of look more at, the evolution these cars have gone through. Let's skip to the 1990s, Dom. Explain these two cars. And just to let you know, we got 10 minutes, so...
Yeah.
Just, no pressure, but let's see. Let's get through this.
So we have the 1990 Diablo. This is one of the huge, scenes as to how Lamborghini approached to their modern day supercar. The Diablo itself, sporting the, I believe it was called the pepper pot rims, in which the spokes of the rim is just holes within the rim. However, the sleek design, for specifically the Lamborghini and the Ferrari they're going to be looking at, I believe, if I remember correctly, the design of how these sports cars were created was to, simulate a woman that's laying on her side, like a pinup girl. If you catch my drift, you probably can't see it, but that's I believe, if I remember correctly, that's how these cars were designed. Obviously incorporating aerodynamics into it as of the such. However, pop-up headlights at the time were also very popular. So with the Diablo here, we see the we don't see it, but turn on the lights, they pop up, and that was pretty much the craze at the time. And at the bottom here, we see the Testarossa. Testarossas were absolutely a freaking huge, flagship vehicle that the Ferraris had at the time. They also incorporated the pop-up headlights, as we see. So if you're driving out in the day and you do not need the headlights for any reason, then you just pop them down, and now you have more flow through the hood, through the bonnet, and down over to the car. We can also see that they started incorporating more race arrows onto the side of the vehicle. So for the Lambo, the bottom left of the vehicle, we can see a huge air intake that would intake bad air per se. So that would be flowed out through the rear end of the car. Same thing with the Ferrari. We could see the large, 3 big spokes that will go into the door and they're out the rear end of the vehicle. So Diablos, as of today, funny enough, you could make your own Lamborghini Diablo through kit cars. So, and those cost around 50,000, 60,000. So you could convert a Toyota Camry, right? Like a regular Toyota Camry or a regular old an old Ford. You could take off the body panels and the such and incorporate a whole new body. So that was a bit of a craze back in the day. It still is a bit now. However, it has caused some controversy as to how good these builds look, to the point where people actually get fooled for them to be actual Lamborghinis when it's just a small little Ford Pinto or something just under the hood. We also see the Ferrari here. I forgot its price, but I'm pretty sure. Wait, let me look it over real quick. Ferrari Testa. I believe right now they go for around 100,000 to 150,000, maybe around 200,000. The Testarossa itself also did have model kits, so people could just transform their old vehicle into a whole Testarossa. But Ferrari didn't take that to a good notice, because that's practically to them, it's damaging their image, as to any vehicle can become a Ferrari through illegal means, of course, because these body panels and then of the such were easy to make because they weren't as complicated, as simplicity was a bit of the name of the game at the time in terms of aerodynamics. But yeah, Testarossa as of today around 150, maybe around $250,000.
Interesting. Which one? Which one are you two choosing?
To be honest, I think I'll go with the Lamborghini.
Yes, Lamborghini. Yes.
At this point, it's starting to go into the, or what we know to be the Lamborghini look. And I don't know, it just kind of seems like a historic point for the company, and I would love to own a car like that. And it just looks, it looks mean compared to the Ferrari, because the Ferrari kind of looks
it still kind of has that older model look.
Yeah, but I guess like imagine you're like seeing the news that Lamborghini announced the Diablo, and you see that compared to what everybody else is making. Like I'm guessing people went wild over it, and I don't know.
Yeah, I think I'm choosing
I'd
the
love
Lambo.
to have that car.
Yeah, that Lambo looks nice. What about you, Dom?
I would also go with the Lambo. I think the Lambo, the specific Diablo, especially with the name with like Diablo, devil. It was like the grand flagship car for Lambo at the time. But yeah, Diablo for me.
Yeah, I think like how Gio was saying, like this is probably like a big turning point for the company because like they got their look down. Like obviously we're not gonna be able to get into it, but like as you start looking into the different ones that Dom presents us, it's like they all start getting that like aesthetic look to them, and they changed a bit, but like they all kind of still have that similar body of look that like you would come to know Lambo for. And obviously Ferrari would start making changes too to get a more modernized look, but I think with this certain point, like that Dom presented it, this is like a good example of like the turning point, especially when you compare it to the models that come before it. It's like they were kind of getting towards there, but like this is really where that turning point came.
Yes.
But with that being said, we're out of time here, but I want to thank Dom for taking the time out of his schedule to put together this presentation. We're gonna keep it, obviously. Maybe come back to it, review maybe the more modern ones because we got up to 1990. But want to thank you all for joining for this episode. This coming Monday, we will be reviewing Joey Badass's newest album, 2000, and we'll be giving our thoughts on that. And then Dom mentioned it. Next Thursday, I presented the anime called A Place Further Than the Universe to Gio and Dom. And we will be reviewing that, giving our thoughts on that, because it's been a while since we've reviewed any type of like anime or show. And then from there, we'll be in the month of August, boys. And from there, we'll plan out what we have for upcoming in this podcast. Maybe some changes in the sense of figuring out visuals. We will see though, but I've been your host, Jack, joined by my fellow co-hosts,
Dominic and Steve.
Giovanni.
Thank you all for joining, and as always, if it exists, we have an opinion on it. Thank you, and we'll catch y'all next week in the next episode.